Good afternoon, Rotarians. Welcome to another fun summer meeting for Club 99. To start things off, we have the four-way test, prayer, and pledge led by Chad Cummings, then guest introductions with Laura Nick, followed by a new member introduction with Membership Recruitment Chair Ross Burnett. Chad?
All right, everybody please join me in saying the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Is it prayer now? Okay. Please bow your heads. O God, the creator and preserver of all humankind, we humbly pray to you for all people everywhere, whether here in our homes or in the most remote corners of the world, like Madagascar. Thank you for the blessings you have bestowed on each of us. We ask you to show us how to use those blessings in your service. Keep us safe and healthy, and guide us to help those who suffer. Help us provide for our families, guide us to share with those in need. Build and grow our community, guide us to see that community is greater than our neighborhood or city, and that everyone who draws breath is our brother or sister. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. It's such a great day to be together. We have a lot of guests I'm excited to announce. Please stand when I read your name. Jordan Thomas, my neighbor right here, with member Ross Burnett. Maggie Davis, member is Slater Corbin. John Slaughter is here with Misty Thorpe. Dan Bryant and Lee Redmond here with Laza. Laura Bernstein Kurtz here with Susan Altrui. Rotary Exchange student Julia Schreiber here with Kenny Gibbs. Preston Kordsmeyer here with Courtney Little. Austin Norman here with Lori Arnold Ellis. And here with Quentin Kane, we have 18 guests from Dunbar. Please stand.
Isn't it a fantastic day when we bring yet another new member to the best civic club in the state, 3 in a row? I'm pleased to welcome Jamie Higgins to Club 99. He is currently the executive director of the Centers Foundation, the philanthropic arm of the Centers, which is the oldest operating nonprofit in the state of Arkansas. He has a 20-year career working in philanthropy, serving organizations such as Community Service, Inc., Pulaski Technical College, which, by the way, he had the opportunity to go at no cost to the culinary school there. He was telling me all about it. Amazing opportunity if you get the chance. Big Brothers Big Sisters, and Arkansas Food Bank Network. His Rotary journey started in 2011 when he joined the Rotary Club of Morrilton, where he has served as their club president in 2014 to 2015, and was named twice the club's Rotarian of the Year. At the district level, Jamie has served as the RYLA chair, youth exchange chair, assistant governor, and in 2020 to 2021, COVID year, served as governor for District 6170. Man, we need you on this recruiting committee. He currently serves at the zone level as Zone's 31 Public Image Coordinator, working with 31 districts and 11 states in the heart of America. In addition, he serves on the executive team of the 2024 Zone Institute in Huntsville, Alabama, where he was a member of the 2023 Rotary International Director Nominating Committee and has been selected to serve as a 2025 Rotary International Assembly Lead Facilitator. He is a Paul Harris Society member and a Rotary International Foundation Bequest Society Level 2 member. Jamie loves to travel and collect keychains from his travels. He also enjoys culinary adventures and cooking. We got to exchange some notes later on that. Please welcome Jamie Higgins to Club 99.
Thank you, Chad, Laura, and Ross, and welcome newest Club 99er Jamie Higgins. We're glad to have you with us. Jamie got things started quickly, joining our greeters up front this morning, along with Membership Engagement Chair Kathleen Lawson, Treasurer-elect Greg McCarroll, and Camp Aldersgate Fish Fry Volunteer Chair Alex Talley. Thank you all for the smiling faces up front. I do want to make a quick second highlight to one of our guests. Julius Schreiber is one of our past youth exchange students from Germany. He visited us in 2019. He's just visiting Little Rock today on vacation. So glad that you came back to visit the club. Thank you so much, Julius. In line with our Rotary Year theme of Global Hearts, Local Hands, I've decided to use the President's Minute to highlight Rotary clubs around the globe. There are more than 46,000 clubs worldwide. We'll take a minute to learn about one other club once a week, their history, membership, or special projects they support. This week, I'm hoping not to steal the thunder of our presentation with a look at Rotary in Madagascar. There are currently 18 clubs on the island representing over 360 members. The oldest club is one of 8 clubs in the capital city of Antananarivo? That one. They were chartered in 1958. Interestingly, the island of Madagascar declared independence from French rule in 1958, although they celebrate their official Independence Day on June 26, 1960. Since then, this French-speaking club has partnered with Rotarians around the world to continue humanitarian efforts on the island, from freshwater projects to education, maternal health, and disease prevention. This Rotary Club has truly built on the 7 pillars of Rotary service. The club is in District 9,220. They're along with other Indian Ocean islands like Mauritius and the Seychelles. I made a note to say I wish I had known more about this before going to my district training in Fort Smith, Arkansas. This week, we will toast all 18 Malagasy clubs. That includes club number 17,266 in Antananarivo. Better? Okay. They meet on Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. in the Hotel Colbert, a resort in case you find yourself in the neighborhood. Now I'm going to invite Program Chair Chris Mangum to the podium to introduce today's program. Chris?
Test. Hey, Chris, is this on? Test. Test. There we go. Okay. You sure? So as you know, we have students from Madagascar arriving in just a week or so. They're going to spend a month here with us as part of the Ottenheimer Scholars Program. And so we recognize that a lot of people in the club may not know where Madagascar is or may not know a lot about Madagascar. So we thought we would do a Madagascar primer. So we're going to cover a little bit of the background on the island, a little bit of the history, and we've assembled an expert panel here of Club 99ers to provide their perspective on the club. Chris, I don't know, are you guys, your mics working? So, testing 1 million, 2 million. To start off introductions of our panel, we have Aaron Lubin, whom you all know, past president of Club 99, executive recruiter, executive coach. But one thing that I learned in talking with him is that he was also an agent for some pretty big music talent back in the 60s and 70s, maybe. Aaron was recently in Madagascar a few years ago and really brought back the idea to the Oppenheimer Committee of suggesting Madagascar as the country that we would host from. So he's going to talk about his trip there. We'll have some photos and things of his experience there. Susan Altry, who is the director of our zoo and also very involved in conservation efforts that connect with Madagascar. There are lots of unique animals in Madagascar. She's going to provide a little bit of background on what makes Madagascar unique from a flora and fauna perspective, and talk about the importance of conservation in the country, just given its uniqueness. And then, of course, last but not least, Raza Fimanjado, who is our only member of Club 99 who is actually from Madagascar. So he came here to Little Rock in 2010 and ended up getting a degree in higher education administration from ULR and is now head of strategic development, that sort of thing, at Flander Smith. Okay, so he's going to talk about his experience growing up in Madagascar and how he got here. So let's dig in a little bit. I'm going to managing a couple things here. Let's see. Try to click to the slide here. There we go. Okay, so first, where in the heck is Madagascar? So Madagascar is just off the coast of East Africa. It's fairly close to Ethiopia, Eritrea, that area, if you know much of Eastern Africa. It's the fourth largest island in the world, second largest island country after Indonesia. And at one point, scientists believe 180 million years ago or so, it was actually connected to the continent of Africa and to the subcontinent of India. All of those were kind of connected there in the Indian Ocean and gradually sort of grew apart. But Madagascar remained isolated for a long, long time. And as a result, some very unique animals and plants sprung up there. Giant lemurs, fossa, some really unique animals. We'll talk about those in a little more detail. But the country was first settled, they believe, by Austronesian people from Indonesia. And so they would have arrived on the island, it's believed, on outrigger canoes and brought with them rice and some of their cultures and things. And so Madagascar, and this would have been around 500 BC. So Madagascar had a thriving society, its own civilization, traditions, all of that for 1,000 years, well, almost 2,000 years before Europeans arrived in the early to mid 19th century. The French and British fought over it. It was strategically located on a trade route around the bottom of Africa to get to India and to Asia. On the Asian trade routes, and eventually the French ended up taking control of it and operating it as a colony for about 60 years, as I recall. So we're going to talk a little bit about how that has impacted the culture there and give you a little glimpse of what to expect when these two students arrive. Can you guys see us okay? All right. So I'm going to start with Aaron. Aaron, I'll clip through the slides here for you. Just tell me when to turn. And
So I know everybody's heard of Madagascar. It's kind of like Destin, Gulf Shores. And maybe after this presentation, you'll see the beautiful beaches that Madagascar has. Gorgeous country, great for fishing, great for scuba diving, great for swimming. I think things that most group in here does some of those things. So my wife and I, when we were taking our trip, we were visiting several different countries, and Madagascar happened to be on the schedule. And the only thing that I knew about Madagascar, probably which most of you knew, were the famous lemurs. And Susan will get more into that. So we said, oh, you know, we're going with open-minded. And I'll tell you, the people there just treated us fantastic. I'm going to show you a couple of slides from our little adventure. This is the island. There's about 25 to 30 islands in Madagascar. That was the one that we went to. So we arrived by boat to this island, and the islanders just came up with open arms, probably like a lot of places that you've been on tour on different countries. Very, very friendly people, very cordial people. Let's go to the next slide. They, of course, great food, great markets, filled us up with all kinds of different kinds of fruits and stuff that we never heard of, but we were glad that we got to taste them. Their hand linens, the market there, all kinds of different things that they make, hand by, that we were able to bring back some of those things as souvenirs. There's some of the handcrafts. You can see that one handcraft. You can tell what kind of animal that is, can't you? That's the lemur. So I wish we would have gotten one. Since Susan wouldn't get us a live one, I wish we'd have gotten one of those. Women there paint their faces with flowers in the market, welcome their guests. They got all kinds of flowers that they paint themselves. Very warm, very friendly people. And we got the chance, one of the presidents is really focused on is education. And we were able to visit a classroom there and visit with the kids. You know, in Madagascar, most of the people there speak English and French. And you'll see that when the two girls come here. Local entertainment, they had all different kinds of instruments. Some instruments I had never seen before that were handmade, and they sang and they danced, and they included us in all of their entertainment. So they were a lot of fun to be around. And this is the famous entertainer, the best entertainer there is. That's my wife. But the one next to my wife is the lemurs. And you can see if you put a banana on your shoulder, they won't leave you alone, but they're very friendly. They're so cute. You get up their face, up close. You don't want them to go. And I think there may be an opportunity. If you've been to the zoo, Susan's got some lemurs out there at the zoo. And there's so many different types of lemurs, but they love bananas. So watch out if she brings a lemur here and you got banana in your pocket, it'll be gone. And they got lizards too, other creatures, not the guy at the picture, but there's a little lizard there on the side. So they've got all different kinds of animals there. And that's what's kind of neat, to be exposed to different animals. So that's some of the pictures. And then we got a chance to say goodbye to the lemurs.
Now, Aaron, there's a connection to Little Rock even before your visit to Madagascar. You want to talk a little bit about?
Yeah. So the Mifflin Gibbs, this is an individual, I tell you, when I learned about what this guy did back in the late 1800s, first African-American municipal judge, not only in Arkansas and Little Rock, but in the United States. He was an entrepreneur, had a grocery store, I think he ran in Congress, and he became the ambassador to Madagascar. So Gibbs Elementary School was named after Mifflin Gibbs. So Mifflin Gibbs had an anniversary recently. So we decided, why don't we see if we can bring down the consulate from Madagascar out of Washington, D.C. And with French Hill's help, we worked together. We were able to get her to come down here. Of course, you know, you've had people come to Little Rock, Arkansas, and they're not expecting very much. Well, we put the dog on for her, I can tell you that. She was pretty tired after a couple of days here. She spoke at Gibbs. She brought her native outfit, which I think the two girls are going to bring in their presentation, and just had a great time. And she said, I'm really impressed with Little Rock. It's really got a lot to do. I'm going to go back and tell my staff all about Madagascar. And so we had a chance to visit. I told her about the Oppenheimer exchange. And she got kind of interested. What do you think if we could bring some girls to Madagascar, to Little Rock, Arkansas? She said, that would be neat. So when we went back and had our meeting, our committee meeting, and we've been doing this for over 75 years, we talked about it. There were several countries that we talked about, and we decided on Madagascar. So you never know how things are going to happen in life. We're going to be having two girls from Madagascar. I can tell you, we had 6 candidates that our committee interviewed. And I've been on this interviewing committee for many, many years. And I can tell you that these 2 ladies that are coming here are as sharp as any 2 candidates that we have here. And I would suggest, we still have a few openings. You will be glad that you got a chance to spend some time, because you'll not only learn about Madagascar, you're going to learn about 2 leaders. These 2 ladies are going to be future leaders in their country. First, let's talk a little about Michaela. Now, how many people in this room, I guess maybe the younger kids that are going to college, have ever heard of majoring in geology, mining, economics? Has anybody ever heard of that major? That's Michaela's major. Madagascar is rich in minerals. And one of the things that she wants to do, and hopefully from her visit here too, she wants to help her country through that, to help them economically. The other thing that she's been very interested, she lives in the largest city, Madagascar, which is about 3 million people. But one of the things that impressed me, she's very active and does a lot of volunteering. But one of the organizations, I believe it's called Amana, it's a youth-led, educated group that deals with emotional abuse and red flags in relationships that become very abusive globally. In fact, the Clinton Foundation is involved in it in Madagascar. But she's the leader and she's the ambassador in that. And I just thought that was interesting. Here's a young lady at 23 years old taking on that kind of responsibility. Great cook, Malagasy, the food. In fact, some of those that you're hosting or staying with you, I think might get the opportunity, because I know that she'd like to do some cooking for us. But she's very, very impressive. Let me tell you about Salahi, who's also very, very impressive. Her major, again, a major that I didn't even know exists, she is a marketing and trends analyst in the aerospace industry. And what she wants to do, she wants to help Madagascar with their airlines, kind of improve efficiency, do marketing. That's one of her main interests. She likes to cook, likes to hike, likes to swim, likes to camp, likes to dance. She did an internship, kind of like a flight dispatcher with one of our airlines. She's also going after her master's in design and innovation. So you can see we've got 2 sharp individuals coming here. So I hope I know Cindy said there's a few open spots left. We are going to go down, and there's 2 spots we have left. One of the things, because of Michaela's interest, is we're going to, I don't know if you all remember when we had the president of the Lithuanian company that's doing the work down in El Dorado. So we thought she would love to do something like that. So we're taking a bunch of Rotarians with the two girls. We're going to get a tour. We're going to have lunch down there, questions. I think, Lithuanian's the hot topic now. I think it'll be very interesting. So again, we've got a couple more slots. If you're interested, see me after the meeting. So I want to, you got to know a word in Madagascar, right? If you're going to greet these girls. So we're going to teach her the word salama. So I want everybody to say salama.
Salama.
Okay, that means hello. So you can greet those two girls.
Thanks, Aaron. So Susan, you want to talk a little bit about the uniqueness of Madagascar and why biodiversity and conservation are so important there, and what are some of the gains, and maybe how they're approaching it, because it's a relatively poor nation, and there's a balance between economic interests and conservation.
Yeah, absolutely. So do we have some of the slides we can pull up too? We can show? Oh yeah, let's do the video first. That's a great video to show. Kind of overviews a little bit about some of the conservation issues, if we can hear the sound.
Madagascar off the coast of Africa is about as remote a spot as you can find, and the only place in the world where lemurs live in the wild. They may look like stuffed animals, but there's much more than meets the eye. Here's my Nightline co-anchor, Dan Harris.
I defy you to watch this video of these little varmints capering around and not immediately fall in love with them. This is the lemur. They come in more than 100 flavors, including this kind, aptly named the dancing lemur. There's also the ringtail lemur, the bamboo lemur, and the black and white lemur, which looks like a skunk crossed with a panda bear crossed with a miniature pincher. They only live in one place on Earth, the country of Madagascar, off the coast of Africa. This place and these animals are now the subject of a new IMAX movie called Island of Lemurs. Madagascar is an exceedingly difficult place to film, especially given the elaborate equipment necessary for an IMAX movie.
Whoa. Uh-oh, I don't want a lemur fight on me.
With no roads in much of this Texas-sized country, the director used a hot air balloon to get some shots and employed scores of locals to lug the gear around.
The rest of us get lost almost instantly. 2 or 3 steps off a pathway and you turn around and you can't find the pathway anymore.
But for all the difficulties, the shots they captured, amazing. Like this lemur known as the Indri, famous for its loud cry.
The Indri is really the pop star of the lemurs. It's got a complex call which evolves as the song continues. It's like air horns suddenly blasting off at you.
One of the stars of the movie, aside from the actual lemurs, is this woman, Dr. Patricia Wright, an American primatologist who once spent months searching for the greater bamboo lemur thought to be extinct.
One morning, there he was, feasting on crunchy young bamboo shoots.
One of the things she loves about lemurs, the females are in charge.
The female leads into fruit trees. The female sits where she wants to sit, leads them where she wants to lead them, and she's the boss.
And what's it like having an IMAX team follow you around?
I thought the lemurs would be terrified, but no, they took it very well. You know, suddenly a big crane would go up and they would kind of look at it, and they didn't run away.
Oh. I can personally attest to the lemur's agreeable nature. A few years ago, I went to Madagascar myself.
They always look slightly horrified. Watch out, dude.
Okay. He likes my camera.
I even got to see those dancing lemurs up close.
So this is why they call them dancing lemurs?
Yes.
But to see one of the most rare and adorable lemurs of all, an animal called the silky sifaka, we were told we needed to travel all the way up to the northern part of the country into a towering and dauntingly beautiful landscape that looks like a set from Jurassic Park.
So what we're going to see now is supposed to be the most beautiful lemur in the world?
They are white, like the snow.
Huh.
It was a long, steep, and slippery hike that involved an unfortunate number of leeches.
No. Those are slugs in my socks. Always pleasant first thing in the morning. Bloodsuckers. It's no wonder that these guys have been able to survive for so long. They are in pretty much the hardest place to reach I've ever been. Let's go.
Finally, we saw them. They look like cotton balls with tails.
Way up there are 2 lemurs. They're quite beautiful, as promised, and they don't seem to mind at all that we're here. Actually, there are 3, 4.
In fact, there were 7 in this family. They spend their days eating, grooming, scampering, and playing.
We're pretty close to them. We get very close.
Yeah, you are getting very close because they are not afraid of people.
So there are not many predators around here, so they're not scared of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Not many predators here, but there is real danger to all of the lemurs of Madagascar. Illegal loggers, known as the timber mafia, have been pillaging the forests the lemurs need to survive.
How much trouble is the lemur in right now?
The lemur is really in big trouble right now. There's 103 species, and 91% of them are in danger of extinction. They're the most endangered of any mammal group.
Our oldest ancestor, now under threat from the most dangerous primate of all, man.
Do you hope that the movie can make any difference?
I think the movie's going to make a great difference because right now, nobody knows what a lemur is. But I think once that movie is out there, you see how they move, you see how beautiful they are. I think everybody's going to want to save lemurs.
Raising awareness so that the dance of the lemur can carry on. For Nightline, I'm Dan Harris in New York.
The IMAX.
So obviously, there's a lot of challenges where conservation is concerned and lemurs are concerned. Lemurs are the most endangered mammal on Earth, which when you consider how many animals and mammals we have that are in risk of being endangered, that's a pretty big statement. But the lemur, unfortunately, is the one that we are at the risk of losing the most. There are about 100 species of lemurs that live in Madagascar right now. The primate species of the lemur is one that has evolved completely separately from any other primate. A lot of people don't know what a lemur is. They think it's a raccoon. They think that it's some kind of a cat. They think that it's some kind of a monkey, but it's not. It's actually a primate that has evolved totally separate from any other primate. Interestingly enough, for those of you that follow evolutionary biology, a very interesting new thing that's been discovered is that an artifact that is 20 million years old that was recently scanned by the Duke Lemur Center with new 3D imaging technology has found that the lemur is actually the descendant of 2 different things, the ii and the loris. We used to think that the lemur was only the descendant of the loris. So the fact that we now think that there are 2 things that the lemur is the descendant of is a big deal if you're a nerd in evolutionary biology. So big news on that front, but now we know that there were 2 different groups that came over from Africa and into Madagascar to eventually turn into what we now know as the species of the lemur. But the lemur is a beautiful animal that is at a risk of extinction. 98% of all of those lemur species face extinction, but there's also a lot of other animals that are in Madagascar as well that are also facing extinction. What's interesting about Madagascar is the variety of the biodiversity that's in Madagascar. 2/3 of the planet's chameleons live in Madagascar, and there are an estimated to be around 150 species of chameleons in Madagascar. And also 80 to 90% of the world's flora and fauna also live in Madagascar. It's pretty incredible when you think about that. But deforestation is taking a really big toll in Madagascar. The forests are being burned to make way for agriculture, but these burned areas are really only good for about 10 to 15 years. And so when you clear out a forest area for agriculture, what ends up happening is that that area isn't good anymore. And so you move on to the next. And you can see in this graph right here, You can see just how rapidly the forest is decreasing in Madagascar. And that's meaning there's less space for wildlife to live, and the wildlife is being pushed further and further out, and in a lot of cases, it's just disappearing. Very, very sad state and sad situation in Madagascar. The slash and burn agriculture needs an alternative. So what's being done? There are a lot of things being done. That's where the zoo comes in. That's where places like Duke Lemur Center come in. The Association of Zoos and Aquariums and our partners like the Duke Lemur Center have been partnering with organizations in Madagascar to try to find solutions for this. And there are a lot of things we can do with NGOs in Madagascar to find meaningful conservation efforts to help to save the rainforest and provide community-based solutions for opportunities that can work. The Duke Lemur Center here in the US is a leader in partnering with the country of Madagascar to work on some of those community-based solutions. And so some of those things are environmental education, reforestation, sustainable agriculture, reforestation projects, and also too, for the first time this past year, the Duke Lemur Center was, for the first time ever, repopulated an area in Madagascar with lemurs that had been bred in captivity. And that was using a lot of the methods that we use in zoos, where we have breeding in the captive environment, and then they re-release lemurs back into the rainforest for the first time ever. So that's a new method that they're using now. And that's based a lot of what we have learned on captive breeding in the zoo situation. So that's what we've been able to lend to that environment. So very interesting situations there. This is a picture at the Duke Lemur Center there. If you ever get a chance to visit it, you can. It's in North Carolina, and it is open to the public, but it is a great way to contribute a little bit to conservation, and a great way that you can help Madagascar is by visiting the Duke Lemur Center and giving to the Duke Lemur Center.
Thanks, Susan. So, Laza, you grew up in Madagascar. You've been away from there for some time, but can you talk about what it was like to grow up there in the culture, and what do you miss about it?
Yeah, so first I wanted to thank everyone in the Oppenheimer committee to bring students from Madagascar. I think it's going to be great for them and great for everyone at Club 99 and people that they meet as well, to just experience different culture and meet different people from a different culture. I think it always enriches our lives. And so living in Madagascar, I lived there until I was 18, 19. Then I went to the United States for college. But it's pretty, we are, as you can see, there's different types of area. Madagascar is huge. We have about 20 different ethnic tribes that live there. As you said, the first settlers arrived in maybe 300, 500 BC. I went AD. And so that left a lot of time for people to just mingle and create different tribes. And so the name, and these are pictures of the diversity of people that are in Madagascar. Not everyone looks kind of like each other. It's like a huge melting pot that happened for years, for hundreds of years. We all look different. Some tribes have different dialects and ways of living and cultures. But the national language, the official language is Malagasy and French. And so everyone speaks Malagasy, but there's a lot of different tribes that have another dialect that I'm not able to speak. But the daily life is pretty different. I lived in Antananarivo, which is the capital city. Yes, you did great, President Chaco. And it's a big village with about 3 million people that live in it. I went to school during the day, and then, I just went to school. In Madagascar, you go to school from Monday until Saturday. So you only have Saturday afternoon and Sunday off. So that's why I think those young ladies are going to come are going to be very, very, they're going to be very smart, like you said, and very studious and curious. But in other parts of the island, and I'm not sure where the ladies are from or where they grew up, there's a difference because a lot of the people in Madagascar are involved in agriculture. And so that whole thing about slash and burn, I think about 70, 75% of the population live in rural areas, living from the land. And so you have the issue of conservation kind of backs to that because it's an island and everyone kind of has to find their way to live and provide for their families and survive. And so they will use that. So there are definitely alternatives that need to be done regarding that. But people that live on the coast might be, not on the coast, but in rural areas, students might be going to class some and then work in the field
This would be a photo of the rural.
Yes, and so the rural area will be, and this would be kind of in the middle, in the highlands. And so these are traditional homes in Madagascar, and those are the fields that they will do. Of course, Aaron got to go to some of the most beautiful places in Madagascar, and you can actually all go there if you want to. This is called Nusi Bay, and it's one of our best attraction for tourism. And it's kind of in the area that Aaron went to. So I hope and some of the things I miss most would be the food.
Let's talk about the food, because when I was doing the research to kind of set this up, I was really intrigued by the food. It seems similar to Caribbean cuisine, some of what you might find in New Orleans, in Creole cuisine. It's a mixture of African and Asian spices and things. Can you talk a little about particularly this national dish that?
Yes, and so we are pretty simple in Madagascar. Rice is a big staple. We love to eat rice. Rice is, you don't call it a meal unless there's rice with it. So even if you give them hamburgers, that doesn't count as meal. So we do eat rice in the morning, afternoon, and in the evening. But it really is a pretty simple type of food. It's rice on a bed of rice. You've got your meat there. You can have zebu. That's the cows that we have there. You can eat goat, pork, all of that, chicken. And then it has to come with some sauce and some vegetables that come with it. And that's it. There's nothing fancy about it, but it is very good and tasty because everything is from the ground. So and organic, obviously. So it's really good. It's not like any other food that I've experienced in the world, but it is different. We don't eat that much spice in our food, but we do have some spice that we get, like curry, those type of things. And so, but the food will not be as spicy as like Thai food or African food or Indian food. One thing about Madagascar is that, like I said, it's kind of a melting pot. So we are kind of considered the only place in the world that is the intersection of Asia and Africa. And so that's pretty different when you think about it, because there's nowhere else in the world that like Asia and Africa, the cultures from, Southeast Asia, have fused there together. But if you think about it, Madagascar in the past was on the route to India, where everyone was traveling through. And one great note about Madagascar is that it was a hotbed for pirates. So the pirates would stay there because if you think about it, when they get everything from India to trying to bring it back to Europe, it's the best way to just get there and attack it. And so one of our first settlers that came to Madagascar were all like, we have great pirates there. So
Right.
We have like pirate cemeteries. So
where is this city, or where are these cities?
So this is Antananarivo. This is the city. I think the two young ladies are coming, live here and go to college here, and that's where I actually grew up as well. It's very dense, and streets are narrow, and so.
Is there an animal cute enough that it's worth traveling to the end of the earth to see? Well, Madagascar.
There we are. Okay, sorry about that. So one of the things we talked about, just to kind of put Madagascar in perspective in terms of size, population, that sort of thing, is, and they mentioned in this video, it's roughly the size in terms of landmass of Texas. 30 million people, which is about the same as the population of Texas. But in Texas, you have these major cities where more than half the people live. But in Madagascar, only maybe 15% of the people live in cities, and everybody else is really scattered around these rural areas. What is the traditional culture like in the rural areas? I know we talked a little bit about that, in terms of traditional religions and things like that. It looked like the country was predominantly Christian, maybe more Protestant than Catholic, surprising given the French colonial period. But what is it like? How do those old traditions of some of the indigenous people kind of play out in the rural areas?
Yes, and so, like I said earlier, all the tribes have their own belief system, right? That they've had before the missionaries came, and coincidentally enough, some of the one of the earliest, I think, missionary group that came were Protestants from England, and they settled in Madagascar. I got to visit the first church that was built there, and it was like 1783 or something like that. And so all those different tribes have their own set of beliefs, but with the resurgence of like Christianity, I think 50% of the population is Christian, so either Catholic or Protestant. We have about 20% or so, I don't know the exact number, but Islam is growing as well, especially on the coast of Madagascar. But through it all, there's the traditional religion and beliefs that still persist in all of those cultures. So in terms of customs that we have, those are, we keep those traditions in Madagascar. And so we still have those traditional beliefs of things that we do as customs and things that we have inherited from our ancestors. So, and that would be different. Like I said, there's 20 tribes. I'm not a expert on the tribes in Madagascar, but I know like my tribe, and so we do continue having some of those traditions sprinkled throughout our lives.
So maybe a few questions. Courtney? I'm gonna also be the mic guy today.
All the places in the world to choose. You've got all the places in the world to choose. You choose the U.S., the South, and then eventually Arkansas. And by the way, we're glad to have you.
Well, thank you. No, I never had any plans to come to the United States. I was gonna, go to Madagascar, go to college there, but I had an opportunity when I finished high school to get a scholarship that I applied for to Abilene Christian University in Abilene, Texas. Go Wildcats! And so I was talking to my parents about it, and I said, "This is kind of far," but I was ready for an adventure, and so he led me, to Abilene, and then I did grad school there, and then more grad school at UA Little Rock because I didn't want to go too far away from Texas, and so glad to be here, and then ended up working here. So very glad to be here.
Hold on one sec. Should have put my running shoes on again today.
I just wanted to know what was like the change of food. How was that?
It's drastic. Food is different. I like it all. I like to eat food. But I think I remember one of the biggest differences. I just arrived in Texas, and they were serving us breakfast for dinner. And going to the cafeteria at the college, and I looked at it, and I was like, what is that? It was like biscuits and gravy. We've never had that in their lives. And when I had it, I said, I think I'm gonna be okay here. And so, if instead of the freshman 15, I got the freshman 30. So hey, you live and learn. Never lost it again.
If you had the chance, would you do anything different? Like, would you stay in Madagascar?
I mean, it is, you can always think about what you can do and not do, but this is, the story, this is my journey, and like I get to write it in some ways and just go with the pages that are given to me. And so, yeah, I wouldn't change anything. It's been a great ride so far, so hopefully it'll be better. I will add though for the food, the ladies, I bet you they will be interested unless they have, dietary restrictions, but please introduce them to the American food or whatever food that is available here. I've never left Madagascar before I came to the United States and, gotten to travel after that. But it's always so different when you experience different food. Corn dogs were. We don't have that. We didn't have that. So, but yeah. But they have an idea now because I think a KFC opened in Madagascar in Antananarivo about a few years back, maybe like 5-7 years or so. I heard it's pretty popular. I didn't go there. When I was home, I didn't go to KFC, so I don't know how the chicken is there.
Hi, my question is actually like about the lemur situation. Besides like the captive breeding, do you know of any other solutions that people are coming up with or working on to preserve the land and everything?
That's a great question. And actually, there's an organization called the Wildlife Conservation Society, which is here in the U.S., and they are partnered with Madagascar, and they just recently purchased and worked with an organization in Madagascar to purchase a large portion of land in Madagascar to preserve it and to create one of the first national wildlife parks. And that allowed Madagascar to qualify for some carbon emission credits through the World Bank. And so Madagascar, in turn, was able to get money back from the World Bank because they created that wildlife park. So that's an excellent question. So that's another conservation strategy that Madagascar is employing to create national wildlife parks.
Yeah, and the solution is not, it's like complicated, right? It's very complex.
Very.
But I think education has a big part in that as well,
Yep.
to where you'll need to educate the people that are working the land, in terms of the slash and burn. There's alternatives to that, and so more education is needed. The population of Madagascar is very young. I think 40% of the population is under the age of 15. So if you think about that, that's a lot of individuals, but also not all those people are afforded education. And so whatever we do to like push education, it will always help.
While Jason's getting ready to dismiss us, I do want to ask one more time if anyone wants to sign up to help with the Oppenheimer Scholars. While they're here, they'll be here for the entire month of August. Cindy Van Veckhoven, T. Martin Davis would be folks to talk to, or Aaron, to get signed up for some of the things we're going to have them doing. And they'll be very busy for the entire month of August, so please see them. Thank you.
Panel. Chris, thank you. Susan, Laza, Aaron, thank you for your time today. It's great to learn about Madagascar as we prepare for our visitors. And thank you for the wake-up. As a thank you to our presenters, we've commissioned local Arkansas Sage Holland, a master bead maker out of Mountain Home, Arkansas, to make a commemorative bead representing our Rotary theme of Global Hearts, Local Hands. Hopefully, it'll serve as a pleasant reminder to your time on the podium here. Next week, we will welcome Club 99 member Mayor Frank Scott Jr. and his State of the City address. With that, we are adjourned. I'll see you next week. We'll do it quick. You got Yeah, that definitely didn't help. Right.